I flip the lights on. There's 60 4 or 5 foot tall, flowering, like really terpene-rich plants growing right under his nose. And I got caught. but they didn't tear it down. And
why was I expecting another?
Like they didn't tear it down. And before I had to move out of that place, I harvested it and brought it to the place where I live now and dried it.
Yeah. We ready? Can I clap? That was cool, huh?
Yeah.
So, yeah, welcome everybody to a very special episode of the TheHighCloud podcast with Uncle Kūsh. In this 4th season, we decided to take a different route. We're going international in terms of breaking the format a little bit and interviewing more people in English. So the last episode you might have also heard, half of it was in English with Chu from Noids, and now we're sitting with an absolute legend who definitely has a large impact, or has had and still has a large impact on the Dutch cannabis industry, or international cannabis industry in a whole, but also the Dutch one, but still is not necessarily Dutch. I'm very pleased and honored to introduce to you Soma. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us today at your office. I know you've been doing a lot of content recently at the house and in Amsterdam and everything. So I thought it would also be cool to show this cool space that you.
Yeah, what a cool space this is.
Right. Yeah, maybe for the people that don't right away know who you are, please explain who is Soma.
Okay, who is Soma? Believe it or not, I'm still learning who I am. I didn't stop. So I think I'm learning who I am now better than I ever learned who I was, because less ego, more heart. That makes a difference. So let's see. I'm getting old. I'm going to be 75 in less than 3 months.
Wow.
And holy mackerel. I can still remember when I was 18 and I first started smoking cannabis. I was working for IBM, Madison Avenue and 57th Street in New York City. I was so straight, wearing a suit and tie every day, working in the mailroom. One day when I was going up in the elevator came Bobby Kennedy. He was going to go see the chairman of the board. And I said, wow, you're Bobby Kennedy. I want to shake your hand. And I shook his hand. I didn't wash my hand that day. I was crazy, man. But
you really thought you were going to make it in the corporate world, huh?
Yeah, well, I was checking it out, but it was too cold. It was cash positive in some ways, but it was too cold.
No soul, no heart.
One time, because back in those days, there was a lot of Irish guys that worked in that company, and they loved to get drunk on Friday night and stuff, and sometimes they'd talk me into going out with them, like even on a Monday. Let's go out. So one Monday I went out, and I was drinking, and I don't have a high tolerance for alcohol. I don't drink alcohol at all these days, but I didn't never have a high tolerance for it, so I got pretty drunk. I got too drunk. It was too late at night, and I was too drunk to go back to my parents' house where I still lived at 18. And I went back to the office, and I knew the night janitor and stuff, and I knocked on the window, and I said, can you let me in? Back then, they let me in. I went into the mailroom, drunk as a skunk, and I looked around, and I was never in there all by myself. No boss, no nothing, just me. And I looked around the mailroom and I go, I think I could redesign this a little bit. Drunk out of my mind. And I started to redesign a few parts of the mailroom that I worked in every day, including sorting all the early mail so that it was all done. And my fellow workers came in at 8 o'clock in the morning, and there was nothing to get done. It had all been done. And the boss, who didn't like me that much, he looked at what I did and he goes, wow, I kind of like this. And I ended up winning an incentive award from IBM that I never expected. I was drunk, but I've always been an innovator.
Yeah.
My whole life. If I could, if I saw something I was able to improve on before I ever got stoned, I'd want to improve on it if I could, just for the good of humanity. So that's where I started. That's the first place I ever smoked weed, was at IBM. A mail carrier brought me my first joints. I went out after work, went to the East River, smoked a whole joint, and by the time I finished that, I said to myself, wow, I really like this stuff.
Was love at first sight?
And I never gave up on it. I've been busted a lot. I've been like put in prison. I've been put on probation for it. I've like had to hire this lawyer, that lawyer, even become a fugitive at one point, and never gave up.
Wow.
I'll never give up. To my last breath, I'll promote and praise cannabis.
Because in that time in New York, the climate for cannabis was not positive. I mean,
no, but it was unknown. You could actually still pretty easily smoke at a lot of places, and nobody would know what the fuck was happening.
Wow. But then at one point, you decided to come to the Netherlands, or
yeah, that was
were already working in cannabis?
Yeah, I had been working in cannabis since, well, I first started smoking in 1967. And by the early 70s, I was trying to grow it. And learning, like I was living in Vermont, cold climate, and I was trying to grow it on this mountain. It would never have finished because it would have got too cold. Too cold, but yeah. I didn't know nothing yet. And I actually got busted for it at the time in Vermont. And so I got to see firsthand, like, wow, there's elements in the world that'll chop this shit down like it's the worst plague, like it's worse than the bird flu. What the fuck, man?
Crazy.
And yeah, I got to witness that. And it also helped me learn what strains are able to grow where, at least outside.
Yeah, colder climates,
yeah,
warmer climates.
And there are different strains that do different stuff like that. But in those early 70s, in those early days, I didn't know that stuff yet. I needed to still learn it. And I never stopped trying to learn, wow, you can make female seeds? You can make a female turn into a male plant, make seeds, and all those seeds will only be females and have you save time if you don't want to make more seeds. And I didn't know any of that yet. But like step by step by step, as the years and the decades, I've been smoking it almost 58 years, getting close. And so once you go through those decades, seeing all the different sides of it, the 360s of cannabis, the positive, the negative, the hardships, the joys, the healing. I mean, I had open heart surgery in 2005. I had my second heart operation in 2019. I would never, ever, ever be feeling as good as I am without that healing medicine, cannabis, organic cannabis. What a healing medicine in so many ways. Terpenes, aromatherapy, pain therapy, mood therapy. How many people have ever seen cannabis make people laugh their asses off? And they could be depressed, they could be having hardships in life. They smoke some really good cannabis, and the next thing you know, in a circle, somebody tells even a bad joke, and everybody starts laughing their ass off, and they have trouble stopping. That vibe, think if that happened in Palestine and Israel, and all these other places, if everybody started realizing what a good sense of humor really is, how powerful it is, what it means. And cannabis is something that has always helped my sense of humor. I'm always joking around with people all the time.
It's a beautiful thing. It's really a healer, a key to love, in a sense, cannabis.
I love to laugh. I love to smile. I love to hug. Any of those things that increase that loving vibe, I'm in. I want to be in on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you really radiate that kind of positivity, and we love that about you. And I think that might also be a little bit why you moved to the Netherlands back in the early 90s, right? Because
94.
The climate in the U.S. was fucked up for cannabis people, and then you came here and shit
I
was
actually
different.
had a court case going. I was on probation in 1994 when I moved here. I had probation till 1996 in Oregon.
Wow.
Where I did 6 months in jail
For cannabis?
only for possession of cannabis.
Wow.
Not for selling it or anything, but only for possession of cannabis. They took my freedom away for 6 months. And yeah. It helped me write poetry because I like to write poems. And whenever I go through hard times, more poems seem to come out of me, you know. I get inspired in this weird way. Like, you wouldn't think that something negative will inspire you, but
A lot of art comes from pain.
Right?
And
Right?
yeah, definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
It's
So you were a fugitive at the time in '94 when you first came to Amsterdam.
I went to the Cānnabis Cup in Eugene, Oregon, that I helped put on with Jack Herrera. No, I mean, wait. I'm skipping ahead. In '74, in '94, I helped Jack Herrera come to Gainesville, Florida, and to give a talk. It was very bad politically for cannabis then. I had the emperor wear no clothes, and I read the whole book and memorized it and promoted it and was selling the book and stuff, and I became really good friends with Jack. And so I first heard him talk in 1990. He came and talked in Gainesville, and then I talked him into coming again in '94. And I also talked a little bit. And right after that, he said, look, I'm going to go to the Cānnabis Cup in Amsterdam. You should come. And I said, okay, I'll try it. So without being legal, really, I went to Amsterdam for a week. Went to the Cannabis Castle.
The legendary Cannabis Castle.
A beautiful Ben Dronkers.
Dronkers.
And what a work of art that place is.
We'll show a little clip of the Cannabis Castle here. I'll make sure you get that footage soon. Oh, you need it now.
And Ben is also a work of art.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, you know, I went there. I got absolutely inspired by Ben and the Cannabis Castle and the freedom that I saw demonstrated, that I went back and immediately took my Jack Herrera seeds that I had acquired.
Was that
was the year
launch
that was the year it won first prize. I got a hold of some of those seeds because I was hanging out with Jack too, and I brought them back to America and started a crop. But let me tell another short story of Jack Herrera back in '94. That first time on the airplane flying to Amsterdam, I had taken 2 half joints and put them in my sock. 2 exactly half joints. And it was about sometime between 3 and 4 in the morning. There was 19 of us that were going with the High Times crew to the Cannabis Cup, me and Jack included in those 19.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting next to Jack. Everybody was was like nodding out, you know, and I woke up. He was on my left side. I looked at Jack, and I said, Jack. And he said, what? And I said, I got a half joint. He goes, let's smoke it.
This was the time you could still smoke in airplanes, right?
Yeah. Like somehow, like the stewardess and everybody was either sleeping or up front. Like we were in this one section, 19 of us cannabis people. Yeah. Everybody's sleeping. Yeah. So I didn't even have a lighter back then. I only had matches, you know. So I
lit up the joint in the airplane. In the back,
next to Jack. This half joint that goes fast, you know, and I pass it to Jack.
Couple of puffs.
Oh my God, he would suck that, and then until it was gone. Yeah. Nobody caught us.
Legendary.
And I rolled it between my fingers and I threw it under another seat. It wasn't even near us, you know. and then slowly, the 19 cannabis people that were in the section with us, they were all sleeping. They started going. They all started waking up and going, what the fuck?
Someone's smoking weed.
Yeah, let's get a hit. But nobody caught us. Nobody even knew it was us that made that smell happen. But like, okay, now let's go quickly back to when we're going back.
Yeah.
Like me and Jack are also sitting next to each other. And what I had done, because I'm a crazy fuck. I'm always taking cannabis risks all my life. Maybe I should think about it more, but I never think about it enough. I just go, I'm doing this.
Because you normalize the plant so much, it's like it's a piece of you. It's just...
So here I am in Amsterdam. I didn't have that much hash experience in America, you know, a little, but not like, wow, that Moroccan, this Moroccan, that, wow, how many Moroccan? Like, to basically, like what? Like, okay, so I had 2 different kinds of Moroccan, an ounce of each one. I put them in my shoes. The second day I was in Amsterdam, the third day I was in Amsterdam, and I started walking around with those.
On soles of hash.
Yeah, I had them packaged good, but I just started walking around, getting them pressed into my shoes comfortably, so that by the time I was leaving, I was used to walking on those 2 ounces. Crazy as I am. And so I'm sitting next to Jack on the way back. I'm not saying anything. And we go through customs. Oh, I'm breaking out in a weird sweat. Like my hands. I don't know why, but like thinking about having those 2 ounces of hash on me going into Kennedy Airport, I go, what the fuck? I felt good in Amsterdam.
What am I doing?
Oh my God. And so we go through customs, we get through. No problem.
No problem. Flying.
And then we both get into the same taxi. And I sit next to him in the back seat. And as soon as I close the door, I whisper to Jack, I got 2 ounces of hash on me. He goes, I want some. And so as soon as we get to the spot where he has to get dropped off,
where he needs to get out,
I come in with him, and boom, he buys some of it. He's my first customer. And yeah.
Legendary.
I miss Jack. Jack inspired. Oh, I love you, Jack. I love you, Jack.
Groundbreaking guy
you, bro.
In the cannabis industry, for real. Absolutely. Absolutely. And at what point did you decide to come back to the Netherlands? Like, you went back to America.
Okay, I went back to America. I moved to I was already living in Eugene, Oregon in 94. And so 95, I decided I'm getting out of here, man. I'm moving back to Amsterdam. No matter what I have to go through, I'm going to survive. And so my girlfriend, Donna Maria, she helped me a lot because she was like the name that would be legal. And me, I was like hidden. I was like 18 years in Amsterdam, a fugitive, and not registered as a legal.
But you lived in Amsterdam for how long as
18,
a fugitive?
18 years.
As an illegal?
As a not really known, registered, like on paper, like even when I had my first court case in 1996, the same. Wow. Like, and somehow God didn't want me to go away from here. 28 years I've been here, and I dearly love this place. Any of the problems or obstacles this place has, it'll never come close to the love and appreciation I have for this environment and this country. And whatever mistakes this country makes, I'm still so grateful that here I am. Yeah, this is where I am. And this place is pretty nice to me. I got 2 grandchildren born here, and I have my son born here. What a great place for childbirth. Yeah. And when you look around the world, what a great place for childbirth.
Safe environment.
And I've had amazing hospital care here with the OLVG hospital.
In Amsterdam, for sure.
Like east and west. But in the hospital experience that I've had, they've done wonders for me in there. And actually, on the very side, been kind of cannabis friendly with me.
Yeah, because
not in the hospital, but they all knew I smoked cannabis. I'd actually go outside and be able to smoke a little cannabis where the people were smoking tobacco. And they didn't tell me to stop because they kind of understood it was real medicine for me. That's why I have a prescription for it from my doctor.
Same here. Same here. It definitely changes the discussion when people come at you like, hey, what's
you're
that
not just
smell?
getting high.
What's that smell? The fuck? And then you can tell them, okay, first of all, this is my medicine. Without it, I wouldn't even be standing here.
Yeah.
So,
did you ever have open heart surgery? No. Well, most people didn't, but I did.
Right? Right? That gives you a pass for certain things. Yeah, definitely. But then at one point you were in the Netherlands and you started breeding your own genetics. Yeah. This whole journey started. How, where was that tipping point that you...
Okay, I was breeding in America before I moved here. And I had like 10,000 seeds, all these different kinds, that I brought with me here when I came here in '95. I brought them with me and I got through customs. And I had this kind, that kind, this kind, all labeled and everything. All male, female. And I had a big old warehouse. It was 450 square meters. 150 square meters I lived in upstairs. And then below that was 300 square meters that I built it. I wish I could have a grow room like that now. I was so crazy. I didn't think about getting busted. I just thought about space. Yeah. It was on top of this hardware store.
Crazy.
And he was not cannabis friendly, the owner of the hardware store, but he wasn't so bad. One time, I was in the grow room. I'd work there a lot at night after midnight till 3 in the morning. I'd be down there by myself doing this, that. And sometimes I get tired and so stoned, I get what you would call, unfortunately, spacey. So I had this big thing, a water holder that I'd pH, and I used to fill it up, with the hose. And so I started doing it. I was in the cloning room, and all of a sudden, I was looking close, and I go, "What the are those spider mites? Oh my God!
Spider mite.
I got a spider mite infestation! Oh my God! this shit's gonna go down so fast. I got totally distracted. I got so bummed out that I said, I'm fucking going to sleep. I went upstairs.
Oh my God.
The water was still filling this tank. And I was like laying in bed and I was going, I can't believe these spider mites. What up? Wait a second. Wait a second. I'm naked. I go, wait a second. Did I turn that hose off? And I run downstairs. And when I open the door into the main grow room, there's about this much water on the whole floor, the entire floor. Oh, and I have it lined with plastic, but not absolutely waterproof.
No.
So I realized right away, dripping. I mean, I call my friend that helps me with stuff like that all the time. He comes over early in the morning and both of us, we got every towel in the house. We're mops. We're like we're like fucking freaking out trying to get as much of it up as possible. But we know something's going down in the hardware store.
It must.
So I try and think of a solution. And I have one of those portable washing machines that you plug into the sink, you know?
Yeah.
And I have one of those down there. Yeah. And so I decide I'm going to tell him that this hose broke and the water went all over the floor and I had no idea that was happening. So I go down as soon as he opens with my Dutch friend, because he's real Dutch, the owner, and I tell him the story. And I tell him, look, and I look where the water came down, and it came down in between his rows. Oh. Not on his merchandise.
Okay.
Like only in between his rows somehow it came down. So I didn't have to replace any of his merchandise. That was kind of good. And he had no idea I had the grow room up there, so he kind of believed my story.
Beautiful.
And I pulled it off. But then later on, they raided me, busted the entire place, and he found out
inevitably
that I had a grow room. In fact, I had these judges come at one point because the court, they were trying to figure out, what are we going to do with this place? What is this guy doing? Is he still allowed to live here? Like all those different factors. And I still had one small grow room growing 60 plants, 5 different kinds, to the side of my living room. They had busted the giant one downstairs, but they never found this one. They never found this one.
Wow.
They were so distracted with the big one that I never took it down, still had it going. And so these 2 judges and 2 court assistants and my landlord, they're all in the living room having this talk. And the hardware store owner, he goes, I don't remember this wall.
Oh, fuck.
And so there's a door and you go around the corner and the judge says, can we go look? And so I go, yes. And we walk around the corner and there's a curtain. He says, pull the curtain in Dutch, you know. I pull the curtain away and then there's a door, it's closed. And he says, can you open it? He has to make me open it, not him. And so I open it, the lights are off. And he goes, licht, light. I flip the lights on. There's 60 4 or 5 foot tall, flowering, like really terpene-rich plants growing right under his nose. And I got caught. But they didn't tear it down. And
why was I expecting another?
Like they didn't tear it down. And before I had to move out of that place, I harvested it and brought it to the place where I live now and dried it.
Amazing. Amazing. So you went straight from that big grow room to the beautiful house you live at now?
Yes, where I never had a grow room, but I had a few plants on my roof.
Yeah.
2004, I got busted for 11 of those. Had to go to court.
Jesus
had a court
Christ.
case 2007 and got it dismissed.
Of course. I mean, it's only a few plants.
Yes.
Crazy. All that hassle for...
And even like Martin,
plants.
I saw him get busted for 10 little plants. I drove right past when the cops were, and I go,
oh, shredding the
oh
whole
man,
thing. Oh man,
what,
terrible.
What injustice.
Crazy, huh? Yeah, in the last 30 years that you've been here, there's been a big change in the Dutch perspective on cannabis from a justice look. Like, at first it was very liberal, then it went really south, and it was.
And then they
super
learned that they
repressed.
can make a lot of money from opposing
Right.
it. And so they started to go, hey, let's make more money opposing this.
Yeah.
Let's make this crazy law that 5 grams, like 30 grams, like medical, like non-medical, like
5 plants and this and that, and all this crazy.
What I pray that they really do now is take a look at Germany, who they used to be at war with in the old days, but take a look at Germany and go, wait a second. Germany's on the other side of our border. Let's emulate this freedom of cannabis that Germany's 3 plants per person, like 25 grand, like what?
Yeah, at
like,
least
like
possession,
come on.
homegrown.
Make less criminals. Make the court system deal with real criminals who are really doing crimes, and they wouldn't even have enough time for that, let alone prosecuting cannabis people,
Preach.
mushroom people.
Leave us alone. We just like plants. No, but it's beautiful to see that you're really an advocate for the plant, and you've given your life to it. Actually, I mean, you've put so much time into spreading the good word, doing a lot of breeding and selecting, and also journalism, taking pictures, writing articles. I mean, you've written. At one point you were writing for like 7 magazines or something.
Even more, I think. I think it was almost 11 altogether. At
The High Times. What have you written for?
The Grow magazine in Germany. I used to write a lot for. Cañamo in Spain, and another one in Spain, and then
my friends from RollingStone.nl.
Yes.
CNNBS now.
Yes, I have to really think about all the different ones. I wrote at least one article for because I said, boy, I'm spreading this word. I get a chance here, I'm doing it there. I get a chance, I'm doing it there. Wherever I can spread the word, the knowledge, even talk about going through the hardship, that it's worth it. Even if you go through some heavy hardship, like so many of my friends. Don and Aaron from DNA.
Yeah.
Aaron had his whole place burned down one time. His entire property disintegrated in front of him. But if you hung out with him right now, you wouldn't know he went through that almost, because he
regrouped, restarted,
regrouped, recovered, and made him stronger.
Yeah,
I love those guys, Don and
entrepreneurship.
Aaron. I love those guys.
Yeah, that shows entrepreneurship and being able to adapt to changing environments. I mean, I think that's one of the most crucial abilities you must have to work in the cannabis industry. You must be able to adapt, because shit's gonna come your way. That's
And look at Ben.
inevitable.
Look at Ben.
Yeah.
You know, like, look how, like, I came here in '94, the museum was happening, you know, Sensi was happening. You could go in there and see 5 plants growing.
Yeah.
The other day, last week I was in there. I went inside with the 5 plants, inside the little grow area, smelled the terpenes on the 5 different strains, and thought to myself, 3 decades, this guy never got raided here. He was able to prevent it from getting destroyed because he made it so beautiful that you could only, if you came there to hurt it, you could only end up learning some good stuff.
Yep. Yeah, and the Cannabis College was also a beautiful place.
Oh yeah, I used to go there all the time.
It's really a shame that
I used to share strains with them in the old days.
It cost them so much money over the last.
That was Hank, right? Who was doing that?
No, that was also Ben.
Oh,
Cannabis College
that was also Ben.
Oh, man. Was also Ben, but it cost them so much money each year that at one point they just
money comes and money goes. Yeah. That's how it works. It comes and it goes.
They had the whole.
And if you can learn to do good stuff with that money, more power to you. You know?
Yep. Do good, and good shall come. Yeah, definitely. And in these last years, I bet you've seen a lot of changes in this industry as well. I mean, it's gotten to a point where it's really out there, you know. There's a lot happening, a lot of marketing initiatives, and a lot of people doing something in the cannabis industry. How do you feel about where the cannabis industry is moving towards?
Okay, well, you know, almost any aspect of life can involve greed. Greed can take many different forms to show that that's its form, as well as in the cannabis industry. And so if greed gets hold of a company or a genetic or a way of business, it absolutely destroys everything. That's what happens in the weapons industry. You look at the weapons industry, all the weapons factories, and they go, oh, kids are getting killed in Palestine? Well, we got some fucking really efficient weapons. They're for sale. If you got enough billions, you can buy enough weapons and you can probably destroy those kids that are squashed into Rafah. Like, huh, you can clear that land for the oil. Come on, you can do it with our no. Instead of a military-industrial complex that's getting so fucking complex these days, we need a cannabis industrial complex and start making this job, this job, packaging, like whatever. So many jobs could be created in the cannabis industrial complex. And I'm not just talking Netherlands, I'm talking everywhere. I'm not just talking Germany and Thailand. I'm not just talking California, I'm talking cannabis industrial complex. Let's make peace. Let's make jobs. Let's make enough money so that we can all eat good and feed our kids good and have good lives and have enough hospital care if we need it, that we can pay our insurance. All from cannabis jobs. Why not? And if it's not cannabis jobs, it's all the other good jobs that interconnect with the cannabis industry.
Yeah. You know, if we would stop suppressing it, it could blossom into something that could.
It's gonna. It's not could.
Yeah, it's already happening.
It's gonna. It's already happening. We in these next years, we're gonna. Like we think, man, it's getting close to nuclear war. What the fuck is? No, it's getting really close to is the cannabis industrial complex, and we're going to witness it break through all the bullshit everywhere. And the real criminals who really need to go to jail, they're going to start going to jail and getting their karma. That's due.
Yeah, I believe so as well. Definitely. A change has to come at some point, right? And in terms of the legalization, like what we see in the Netherlands at the moment with the experiment, what's your view on that? I mean, not really legalization, but
I like experimenting with different cannabis methods because that's the way you learn what works or not. And you also need to learn if something doesn't work, don't use it.
Yeah.
And what I don't like is irradiation. I don't like chemical fertilizers. I don't like low-grade soil. I don't like rock wool, actually, except for making clones. So, like, there's all different qualities that you can come up with if you're going to do it legal. And I'm into clean. If you're going to do it any illegal, do it clean. Keep this stuff as medicine so that when you do it, you go, oh my God, is that pesticide? Is that, you know? No, you don't want any of that. Yeah. You want medicine.
Yeah. I actually brought some of the experiment weed for you to see, but I don't know where I left it. After the podcast, I'll try to hand you some so you can check it out. But you're obviously all for experimenting as long as people keep it clean and healthy.
Yes, you know? Yes, and learn from mistakes. Yeah. Because in my 58 years of playing with cannabis, I made hundreds of mistakes, and I had to learn from them to get better.
What are some of the biggest lessons you learned from cannabis?
Be careful with spraying pesticide. Even if you're going to kill spider mites or whatever, find a way to do it organically so you don't kill yourself. And find ways that you can tune into the plant, even though it doesn't speak words, it speaks very deeply. And if you really become one with your plants, they will teach you deep lessons. And not just with cannabis plants, but cannabis plants taught me to have a vegetable garden, taught me to have other flowers in my garden. I have a roof garden in Amsterdam, and I have all kinds of plants up there because cannabis taught me to love plants. And not because I'm a vegetarian, because I eat mostly plants, but like cannabis taught me to love the plant kingdom.
Yeah.
And I do.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I see that a lot with other growers as well that start out doing cannabis and then all of a sudden they have tomatoes and they're doing.
Oh, I love growing tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes. They're so easy, and
right?
I always grow them on my roof.
Yeah, it's a beautiful plant. It actually, it's very comparable to cannabis in a sense when you grow it, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
When you go into
except that with tomatoes, with cherry tomatoes, you can go to your garden and pick a ripe one off and immediately put it in your mouth. Yeah, yeah. With cannabis, you go, oh, I gotta dry that. Yeah. Gotta cure it. I gotta.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I'm gonna put it in my mouth. Yeah, but like with the tomatoes, process. You go satisfied right away. You know?
And you have to, because if you don't, the birds will. You know, I've grown the first time I've grown cherry tomatoes on my balcony. I remember seeing the first almost ripe one in the morning, and I looked at it. I thought, this is majestic. When I come home from work later, I'm gonna show my wife, and then I'm gonna harvest it, and then we're gonna eat it together. One little cherry tomato, but we were fucking proud of it. I got home, it was gone. A bird ate it.
Wow, I never seen a bird eat one of those.
Yep. So now we have a new tomato garden, and we put nets over. Can wait for the first ripe one. Yeah. Yeah, but we see that a lot with other growers as well, growing other plants, and it's a beautiful thing. Yeah, cannabis is actually a plant that makes people realize and see new perspectives on a lot of things, and then you find a path.
You could say that cannabis was my first psychedelic, not my last, but my first, because that started to psychedelicize my soul and my spirit and my mind.
Make other choices.
And then I tried LSD, tried mescaline, then I tried mushrooms. Before my name was Soma, for at least 20 to 30 years, people called me Mushroom Mark.
Mushroom Mark?
Yes.
That
was my main name. And then in '91 I changed my name to Soma. And it stuck with me for over 30 years now. But Mushroom Mark was what everybody knew me at dead shows in the 80s and stuff. Mushroom Mark, Mushroom Mark, Mushroom Mark.
That's funny.
You know?
That's super funny. Cool. Yeah, but now as Soma, you are at least in the people that I know you most from your strains. I remember growing up and going to coffee shops and like the second I saw So Mango or whatever, I already knew what I was gonna get. You know, that as soon as there's Soma genetics on the menu, I need that. That's
like, so nice. I mean, like, I'm so grateful to the Holy Spirit for helping me. You know, because I can't do any of this on my own. I need divine help 24/7.
And out of the seed catalog that you have created over the past 30-something years, what are some of the strains that you are most proud of yourself?
Okay. Well, I grew up in New York. That's where I went to school, high school. First was getting a job. Even where I joined the Air Force when I was almost 18, still 17. I joined it with my best friend, and I failed the spot check physical. And God made me not go there. During the Vietnam War, I probably would have got killed. Who knows?
Dodged a few bullets there.
but like, I was so nerdy that I didn't know any better than joining the Air Force at 17. I was like, not stoned yet. After I started getting stoned when I was working at IBM, then I realized, thank God I didn't get in the Air Force. Oh my God, what a blessing. And then I started to become a hippie nonstop. Nothing.
So New York is the origin.
But New York, because of New York, where I first started getting stoned, New York City Diesel.
This the one, New York City Diesel.
That's why I named it New York City Diesel, because I wanted to put the word New York in there to thank my existence. That's where I started smoking this stuff and knowing about it. And diesel is like a freight train. You know, it's like you know, if something has that diesel word in it, you don't think mild.
Nope.
You think
gonna punch you in the face.
Something's powerful here, you know?
Yep.
And so that pink grapefruit terp and taste, and even the way it would grow. I grew some really big plants of that stuff with so many calyxes compared to leaf. High calyx to leaf ratio. So that's definitely one of my favorites, but also lavender.
Yeah.
The first strain that I won first prize for in 2007 at Cānnabis.
Yep.
And a lot of other first prizes for since then. And then So Gouda. Such an exotic cheese. Oh, I was always so grateful for Big Buddha from Milo.
Rest in peace, Milo.
Oh, he was
Lost a lot of legends.
He was such a beautiful guy. I used to love smoking with him and laughing with him. He came to one of my mushroom teas one time, and I had so much fun watching him on mushrooms. Oh, I love you, Milo. I love you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to Milo.
Amnesia Hāze. Amnesia Hāze. I always loved a good haze that had a good taste and a high. I used to grow Neville's Haze. Took a long time. I used to grow some Adam from Hemp Works' hazes, and it would also take a long time. So I wanted one that was a little faster, not more than 11 weeks. And so I mixed a few cool strains together. Some probably even came from Benin in the beginning times, or Neville. And I came up with the Amnesia. And I think Derry from Barney's, he won first prize for that in 2004. 20 years ago, 2 decades ago. And now, in 2024, I believe that in any coffee shop anywhere in the Netherlands, you can go in there and look at the menu, and you'll find the Amnesia Hāze on it.
It's the staple in every coffee shop.
Right? And I never thought it would become that. Essential. And there's a few different varieties of it. It's not all my strain, but the name
it's definitely a staple. I think, personally, and I'm not a big haze fan myself, and I definitely don't smoke Amnesia anymore because it really fucks with my mind. But I think personally that it's the most sold strain in the Netherlands for sure.
Yes.
In the coffee shops.
True.
100%. Like you can walk into any coffee shop now and ask from the flower menu, what's the most sold item, and they'll go, Amnesia.
It's true.
100%.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, but you definitely made some of my favorites. Growing up, the New York City Diesel was definitely my go-to strain. As soon as that was on the menu, that was my go-to strain. And now if people ask me if you had to smoke one strain for the rest of your life, what would it be? It would probably be NYCD.
It was very versatile because it had up high, and it could put you to sleep depending on how much you did.
And that's why I love the strain so much. It's very versatile. You can smoke it in the afternoon and still go out and have fun. But if you're at night and want to get knocked out, you can just smoke.
And that was the first strain that I really started to appreciate terpenes as a part of the cannabis, because it was such a high terpene content that you started thinking about terpenes with other strains too, and what could come close to that. And
it was getting more about flavor from that point on. It was at first it was really about.
It was all about Indicā, sativa, how much THC, like all that stuff. But then it got to terpenes, and that's where it is now.
What I wanted to ask you as well. This is I blend a lot. This is
me too.
Some white peaches and some candy Warhol.
Yummy.
Yep.
Yummy. Something in there tastes good.
Shout out to the Heavyloads. Thank you so much, guys. Very tasty flower.
Yummy.
But
grown here?
No, this is California.
Okay.
Yep, imported. What do you feel about how do you feel about the new gen Californian weed and stuff?
I like a lot of it.
Cali
I like a lot of it.
Yeah?
I like a lot of it. It has different terpenes than the usual terpenes I've been working with.
Yeah.
And so, and I love fruit. I love stuff that has a fruity flavor.
Me too. I'm a fruity kind of guy.
Yeah. Yep. Me too. That's why I like diesel. It's red grapefruit.
Yep.
Ripe red grapefruit. You go.
Beautiful. Yep. You know, with a little gas in the back.
Yeah. So I like this. What this is.
Nice. Yeah. And what I also wanted to ask you was, as someone coming from the States and being introduced to cannabis in another way that most Europeans were, you must have seen the difference with people smoking with tobacco here in Europe.
I quit smoking tobacco in 1985. Never smoked it again. I did smoke it for like 4 or 5 years.
Were you mixing it with the weed as well?
No, never. My girlfriend likes to mix it with weed, and I know a lot of other people that do, but that, for me, that's ruining it. And like, I've seen so many people, because of all the chemicals and the processing of normal cigarettes, I've seen so many people get sick when they're in their 60s or even in their 50s, that why mix that together with healing cannabis? But I've also seen people who grow their own organic tobacco and look at tobacco as a healing medicine, like American Indians do, and other South American Indians, and they would roll it with that, and then it wasn't so bad. I didn't want to smoke it because I don't like smoking tobacco.
Me neither.
But if you're going to do that, do it with your own organic tobacco.
Yeah, definitely. What kind of healing properties do they suggest tobacco have?
Okay. 3 weeks ago, a Colombian shaman came up from Colombia. He was only here for about 10 days or less. And he was offering to give bufo rituals. You know bufo?
Nope.
Bufo is toad venom that can only be found from the Bufo alvarius toad in Mexico.
Okay.
And this toad has two glands on its back shoulders and 2 glands on its hips, that if with gloves on, you gently, not hurting the toad, squeeze those glands over a mirror. This small amount of liquid comes out of those glands. You let it dry on the mirror. you scrape it off with a razor blade because it kind of glues to the glass. And then if you take 1/10 of a gram on a scale of those dried
flakes or
crystals, which are actually MEO5 DMT. Not the chemical one, but the one from the toad.
Organically from...
That is an unbelievable substance. It takes you very far, very deep. I've done it 31 times since 2019. I went for 2 years up until when I did it 3 weeks ago without doing it. But then this Colombian shaman came, and I said, okay, I want to try it. I want to see how he does it. And he doesn't smoke cannabis ever.
Okay.
Not now or ever.
Okay.
He's just not. He's into all these different things.
Mushrooms and toads and
peyote,
plants and
like
things and
psychedelics, but not cannabis.
Why?
Just not like he's coming from Colombia. It's like
I'm not that into it. You know, does everything.
Colombian was doing a lot of cannabis.
Yeah, I know.
But
even have some land races and stuff.
But tobacco, he had organic tobacco he brought from Colombia, and he would use it. He wouldn't inhale it.
Okay.
He would take it in his mouth and blow it out and do stuff with the blowing, with that part of the tobacco, like using it almost like a blowing out incense.
Using the smoke.
And using the smoke to purify stuff, but not taking it down in the gut.
Okay.
He says, that's not how you do tobacco. You don't take it in the gut. It's probably why so many people get sick from it, because they are always taking it deep in the gut.
Yeah.
And he showed me that. He said, tobacco has all the knowledge of the entire plant kingdom. More than this. And like, what? Tobacco has all that knowledge of the plant kingdom, and that's why you use it and that's why you use it like this. And so, there's definitely a very holy part to the tobacco plant, which is probably one of the reasons it got popular for hundreds of years. But I don't use it. I stopped smoking tobacco in 1985. I never went. I better go back to. No, I didn't want to go back to that. I wanted to stay clean, pure.
Yep.
Taste just the terpenes of the cannabis without getting covered by some other terpenes.
Yeah. I've had some accidental encounters with tobacco since I've stopped smoking it, and they were not pleasant.
No, I get dizzy.
The last time,
if I smoke a bunch of tobacco,
Martin.
I get so dizzy that I could fall.
And it absolutely closes my throat up, so I can't actually breathe properly. And last time was from a joint from Martin from Sunseekers, and I didn't ask him because I didn't think he was smoking tobacco.
Me neither.
Such a fat tip, and I smoked it, and
I always thought, no offense, Martin, I always thought he was a light smoker, but I never knew he was mixing it with tobacco.
Yep. So that.
But he's a beautiful papa, boy.
Yeah.
He's such a beautiful papa.
So, yeah. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Definitely shout out. And I was almost gonna wear his shirt today as well.
Martin, I wore your shirt, hand. Buddy.
Yeah.
I made use of it.
Albert's not that glad with it. Marketing strategically not so good of a choice, but there's enough promotion for Soma as it is today. And so we already smoked some of the new gen genetics here, and you already told me you were liking it.
I'll take another puff.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
Still going?
Yeah, sure. How do you feel about how the seed industry and the genetic industry is moving with all the...
Well, look at Massive Creations.
Yeah.
I love that guy. I first met him when he was 19. And I've been watching him for close to 30 years. I love that guy. I love him. And there's many people that are similar to him. And the more this friendly, massive cannabis energy spreads, I'm happy. Even if some people do it wrong. Learn from your mistakes and do better. That's what I do.
Nice. That's wise. That's really wise. But it's nice to see you enjoy the newer school genetics and
like
and
Rare Dank. Rare Dank. I've been watching him from the beginning too. What a beautiful family, man. What a beautiful guy. And I was buying weed from him in America before I ever moved to Holland. He wasn't calling himself Rare Dank back then, but I so much loved getting his weed. It would be such a blessing anytime I could acquire it from Colorado, where he was. I was in Florida. I was in Oregon. But like that weed was always magic. And then to see him and his family go through hardship with medical stuff, but I've been through a lot of medical hardship, and I made it. And I saw him make it too, Scott.
Nice.
You know? So when I see any people like this, Don and Aaron, Massive Creations, Rare Dank, there's others too, do well, make seeds and make those seeds available to other humans so they can have some similar success. More power to them.
Nice.
More and more power to them.
Yeah. More people that want to spread the plant and sow some seeds, the better.
And I tell you, if you work with cannabis enough on a big enough scale, you realize that greed is not where it's at.
No.
Greed is not where it's at. That amplification of greed is not where it's at.
It's all about the passion and all about the plant, essentially. That's all about. Yeah, greed's not. You see it a lot from like there's a lot of corporate money coming into cannabis. A lot of people thinking that they want to get on the green rush, how they call it, because there's a lot happening in cannabis legalization all around the world. A lot of companies being taken over and new companies come in, and you always see that the companies that do it solely for the money end up just going to shit, because cannabis does not allow that to participate.
No, it doesn't work.
You might try for a while, and it might
gets
work
poisoned.
for a little while.
It gets poisoned, then it's no good.
After a while, it dies off.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful thing about the cannabis industry, that it self-regulates
and self-protects itself in an inner way.
And that's essentially what the plant's all about, because terpenes protect the plant from predators wanting to hurt the seeds that are being made in the calyxes.
Right.
You know, so that's super funny that actually, and the cannabinoids work as UV filters through the trichome glands to not dry out the seeds. It all adds up and self-regulates, just like the cannabis plant. So that's super interesting perspective. And
this is a nice joint.
Nice. Again, shout out to the Heavyloads guys. Definitely very, very tasty weed. I'm gonna be coming after y'all for more. In terms of growing, because you've been growing for how long? 50 years?
Well, I've been smoking it 58 years, and I've been growing it for at least 55.
What's some of the tips you could give to beginning growers?
Okay, it's a tip I give to every part of life. Do it from your heart chakra. Not your physical heart, but your heart chakra, that love chakra, that part of you as a human being that gets a light feeling from loving vibrations. Do it from that spot. no matter what part of it you're doing, making clones, fertilizing, harvesting, watering, what kind of lights you use, do it from your heart. And do everything else you do in life from your heart. And check that method out. Like, see if that method helps you, whatever you're doing, whoever you are. Because what I found, after all these decades, is that doing stuff from this place compared to doing stuff from your wallet or from your mind is way more of a blessing than doing it from those other places.
Way more satisfactory.
And the same thing with your sex chakra. Do that from the heart too, not just from that part of your body, but do it from your heart, with your soul. And then you usually become a parent when that
yeah, that's usually what happens. It happened to me as well. And you've been a parent for a long time, smoking cannabis while at it. How have you combined like cannabis with parenthood, or how have you looked at your relationship or the relationship your kids would develop with the plant growing up?
I've always been honest with my children and my grandchildren about cannabis. I've never like pushed it on them, because they have to decide that for themselves when they're at the right age. But I've never like tried to really hide it from them, because I would love to see weapons hidden. I would love to see war hidden. I would love to see genocide hidden. But I don't really want to see cannabis hidden. And not from my offspring or my grandchildren. I want them to be wise about it. I want them to not have the fear factor and the trauma factor and the greed factor affect them. I want them to know that my pants are made out of 100% cannabis. And what a great cloth it makes. And I want them to know about all the other uses it has. We could pretty much replace our paper needs if enough cannabis was allowed to be grown. Let's say in Germany, if enough was allowed to be grown, they could start making German paper.
Yeah.
And so, showing, look, we just figured out we can make this paper from this, from the leftovers. And then there's, a lot of people don't know this, but there's the best charcoal. You know how we're always filtering water with charcoal and doing other. The best charcoal that can be made is from hemp stalks.
Oh, really?
Higher grade than bamboo or any other kind of cellulose. When you make it out of hemp stalks, it makes the best grade charcoal. And David Wolf, a good friend of mine, he told me that you can even do small amounts of charcoal internally. You can definitely mix it in cannabis soil or any soil and make the soil higher grade, because it doesn't get powdery mildew as easy and stuff like that. So, but the best charcoal made from cannabis.
Oh, that I really didn't know.
Yeah, and think about how much we could make if we could all have the freedom of growing it. People would be employed in 200 different jobs, and then the leftover stalks could be made into charcoal, and then boom, every water filter starts to have hemp charcoal in it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful one. I'm gonna research that, and maybe it's fun. Maybe I can arrange some tickets to the Hāsh Hēmp Museum to give away. Maybe let me know why you want to go to the Hāsh Hēmp Museum in the comments or something.
Well, you know, I think that Ben should have a sample of this hemp charcoal. He doesn't yet. But I think he should have a nice little one on one of the shelves.
Let's tell him when he comes over next week.
I'm gonna.
Let's go. Great idea. And how is your consumption method and your way of consuming cannabis?
Okay.
How has that changed over the years?
I love this particular design of hand pipe.
We've had some great hash out of that earlier.
Yeah, I love the way the carburetor is at the end here and not on the side, because you can burn your finger like that and it doesn't work as good. But having it there really is handy. It sits super stably flat. It's got a big opening, not too small, and when you take a good hit, definitely very satisfying. So that's my favorite way of smoking hash.
Nice.
My favorite way of smoking rōsin is like this. Oh, let me see. I don't know if I have that with me right now, but I like to use a glass tube, heat it with a torch, and
I know those things.
They're so handy.
Those are amazing.
And they don't take up much space. I love smoking rōsin in a water pipe, but it's a lot of preparation.
And the funny thing is, those glass pipes, they accumulate like some resin on the inside.
Yes.
And then
it gets a bad taste.
But you can vaporize that.
Oh,
because
yeah.
It's terpenes. If you
same
heat that
same
a
with
little
these
bit,
tubes.
That's beautiful.
Same with these tubes. I'll show you after what I mean.
Yeah, nice
but it builds up on those. And when I get enough rōsin on the inside of the thing, I melt it down with a flame and put it on a rolling paper and roll a spliff with it.
Nice. Nice. And flower? Just a regular joint?
Flower, I really like to smoke a good joint with a filter.
Paper filter.
With a nice hemp paper filter. Paper,
yeah.
And I like to share it.
Yeah.
If I smoke it all by myself, I don't enjoy it the same way I do when I'm sharing it with at least one other person.
Yeah.
That's more fulfilling for me.
Yeah.
Because I also get high on the other person getting high. Like while I'm talking, looking, seeing them smile, me smile, like
having a great interaction while you're smoking.
Then I like that better.
It's the best experience.
I like smoking alone too. If I get nice, quiet, and no interference for a while, and I can
when
really
the kids and the wife are going to bed.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't mind smoking by myself. But most of the time, I like smoking with at least Albert. At least.
Shout out to Albert.
Yes.
Albert's your right-hand man in the Netherlands, right?
And my left-hand man. And I hope he's left after I'm not around anymore.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about the business Soma Seeds? I mean, you've been growing it from just, if I can put it that way, like a hippie growing in a big basement to a larger like company with employees and giving giving things out of your hands and like saying good luck and make something beautiful out of it.
Because you know, when you're almost a 75-year-old grandpa, you can still do a lot of stuff, especially if it's from a chair.
Yeah.
but like you know, you can't do a lot of stuff, and you have to leave it in younger,
capable hands
that go to the gym at least once a month, you know, if not more. And so
he goes to the gym,
and some people never leave the gym.
Yeah.
Wherever you put their body, if you turn around and look, they're doing some exercise. They're fucking doing exercise that you can't do, and you go, what the fuck are they doing? Crazy.
You'll break your back.
But they got some good abs, man. Compared to mine, holy fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Nice.
And so, you know, younger hands can learn how to become really nice older hands.
Yeah. And now the company, I can imagine, is also entering a new phase with the legalization wave in Germany and everything.
And Thailand. Hopefully, the king of Thailand and the queen of Thailand, they keep it going like this because it's been in the culture for thousands of years. Don't stop it. Why do you think those Thai sticks were a big thing.
Yeah.
Why do you think Vietnamese weed was so amazing? Because that Southeast Asian genetic is fantastic. It takes a long time to finish, but if you grow it outside in a climate like that, Cambodia, Thailand,
there's a lot of beautiful
Laos,
Thai
like
weed.
any of those places. Like I used to get Laotian weed back in the 70s.
Wow.
And it was smuggled from Laos. And all those different varieties, they got me high for hours. Like, I'd be smoking Colombian, I'd be smoking Mexican, and then all of a sudden these Southeast Asian strains came along, and I'd be high for 3 or 4 hours. I wouldn't know what I was doing for a while, which is where that first name, Amnesia Hāze, came from, because I feel like, what the fuck, I got amnesia. I can't remember
what I was going to do.
I can't remember what my name is right now.
What year is this? Yeah. Yeah. I recognize that feeling from smoking amnesia. Yeah, I recognize that a lot. Nice. Yeah, and from all those different strains that you smoked, which was the most memorable, or which was the most memorable smoking experience you've had?
Okay, well, when I first smoked a good Kush, a good heavy-duty Indicā like that, like kosher Kush or something real cushy, I love that, man. That was like eating lunch. I go, man, I want to eat another one. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. and
yeah, that's so how I got to this.
I always love those really beautiful Indicas. Like Lorenzo from Terps Army. Yeah. He's a good buddy of mine.
Shout out Lorenzo.
I smoke with him several times a week. We go to the sauna together on Friday nights, do the hot tub and the steam, and he does the cold pool. I go, no way, fuck, I ain't doing the cold pool.
I love that cold pool.
But it's like,
yeah, it's cool.
But it's like, he loves Indicā. He loves great Indicā. And every time I try and smoke sativa with him, he doesn't want to smoke it really.
No.
He's just not into sativas.
Even the fruity ones?
Yeah, he'll smoke it, but it won't be the one that he carries around, because he likes.
It doesn't give you that punch, you know. A lot of people.
Yeah, he needs that punch, and he can keep smoking it, and you wonder, did he get stoned? What the fuck is going on with this guy?
It's just his baseline is always stoned. No, but I recognize that a lot from smoking sativa. When you smoke it pure, it doesn't hit you that hard because it doesn't actually hit your body.
It wakes you up.
It wakes you up and
makes you inspired. You go,
yeah.
I want to write a poem.
Right? Get up, vacuum the house, rearrange some shit, you know, get something going.
Yes.
And that's why a lot of people, when they start smoking pure, they forget about the sativa being a positive supporter sometimes when you have to do tasks that you don't really like or something.
But then when you start to mix those sativa strains with those different Indicā strains, it's infinite.
Yeah.
How many different varieties you can come up with, depending on amount of one and amount of the other. And
I've been doing that for years, mixing different strains into one grinder, using 2 to 4.
I call it Soma salad. They go, what is it? And I go, Soma salad.
Yeah.
Because in my can that I always carry around, I got a minimum of 5 different strains.
Yep.
And I'll take a piece of each one,
piece of this,
roll it into the same joint.
Like, okay, maybe I need a little bit more of this, more of that.
And even some rōsin, some water hash sometimes. And I'll smoke it with people. I go, what the fuck is that? And I go, Soma salad.
Because you give it such a complex terpene profile by mixing all these strains that the effect gets so much more complex as well. It's very layered, and people sit there like, holy, what is this? Hang on to my seat type joint, because it's really different and something that people don't really recognize from.
And do you do edibles?
I do them at night mostly because I never know how they
me too.
They hit me.
Me too. You know? I do them at night mostly.
I use them to sleep. So before I go to sleep, I
don't like doing edibles in the daytime when I got to do stuff.
No, because we're parents.
I'll space.
You know?
I'll space out.
Because if mommy calls and says you got to take care of the little one, you
got to be able.
You got to be there. You know, got to pick her up and whatever.
Yeah.
So
yes.
no, that's a thing. No, but I do need them to sleep.
I do make this organic pistachio peanut brittle. Just like peanut brittle, but instead of peanuts, it's pistachios. I make it organically. I use maple syrup. I use some raw sugar also. But like, this stuff is classic. And anybody that knows me well has at least eaten a piece.
Nice.
And not only is it super delicious, but it really works.
And do you make that with butter?
Yes. I make it with butter.
I'm going to make sure you get a pot by Noids. That's a really cool machine to make cānna butter.
Ah.
I'm going to kick and give Soma a pot by Noids, please.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure they send you one.
Because I like edibles.
Yeah.
I do. They're handy. Like in the hospital, which I've done a lot in the last year or more. What a handy thing.
Yep.
You know. What a handy thing.
Discreet. It helps you sleep. It's
and
a
it helps you
painkiller.
heal.
Yep.
And they don't even know what's going on. You know. I go,
whoa!
I see you feeling better, Mister.
How's that possible? I remember a good friend of mine, Mits van der Kamp. He's maybe 5 or 10 years younger than you. Maybe 5.
Most people are younger than me.
And he had a huge liver problem because of some drug abuse, but also like pharmaceutical drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And he was about to lose his life. It was looking really bad, and he decided to switch everything. Went to a very healthy diet, started making everything himself, and he's a chef, so he had a little bit of knowledge, and went on to Google and started to search for healing foods and everything, and started using more and more cannabis and eating a lot of cannabis, especially. And after a while went back to the hospital and was like, so your liver's growing back. That's something that the Western medicine deems impossible, but it's happening in your body. I mean, and now we're maybe 15 years later, and he's still walking around growing his own weed. He grew some beautiful sour tangy a while back that really blew my mind, and I really missed that strain. Beautiful strain, beautiful dense buds, not too big, but beautiful organic grow, because he also makes his own fish food and everything, and whatever. But and that really struck my mind and made me realize how powerful cannabis as a medicine is, because we read a lot about different uses with pain and with possibly some things with cancer. I can't really do some claims and other things, and Alzheimer's and everything, but seeing an organ regrow that's not really able to regrow, and seeing actual brain activity increase with elders starting to use cannabis and everything, because it really keeps your brain fresh. I mean, 75 people.
Absolutely. Psychedelics also.
Yeah, it really helps.
They really help
rejuvenate the brain, you know, if you use it in the correct way and use clean and good medicine, you know, and follow your nose on that one, because it's really about the communication between you and the substance you're about to use, you know.
And you and the Great Spirit.
Yeah.
Each individual, you and the Great Spirit, because we forget that we're interconnected with this eternal Great Spirit that we're absolutely a piece of, a part of. But it's so easy in this modern world with all the material things surrounding us to remember that, wait a second, my deepest connection is with the Holy Great Spirit, who's in the driver's seat, who's at the helm of the ship, who's driving the car that we're on. Even though we may think we're driving it, God is actually driving that car.
We're passengers. Beautiful. And what's next for Soma?
Well,
what's going to happen in the next 10
I
years?
love watching my 11-year-old son grow. And I have a little stepson who also lives with me, who's about to be 3 on July 2nd. And I watched him take his first breath when he was born, even though I'm not his papa. I was at his birth helping it all happen, and never thought he'd be actually living with me permanently for 5 days a week at least. He lives with his papa 2 days a week. And I love watching him grow too. Just like my own son. The same way I like watching my own son grow, I like watching his brother grow. Even though he's not from my genetics, he's from my memetics.
That's beautiful.
And I'm from his. And so that's fucking strong as genetics for me. Like when it's right, it's just as strong as genetics. Those memetics, those warm feelings that we share. He's speaking Dutch and English already. Like, what the fuck? I can't, I've been here almost 28 years. I can't really spreken Netherlands. I'm not good.
No, but you see that a lot with people that are native English, if they're from the UK
Stubborn.
or US. Not even that, the Dutch don't allow you. Because I've spoken to a guy from the UK, he's been living here for like 30, 40 years, and he started speaking in Dutch to me, and I heard the accent, obviously, and I just continued speaking Dutch to him, because that's obviously the language of his choice, and I'm just going to go with it. And he was like, I really appreciate that you keep talking Dutch to me, because normally when people hear the UK accent, they start speaking in English because they think it's easier for them and easier for me, and then it stops, and I can't really develop the language, you know. And that's a thing with English natives in the Netherlands, because we all speak English in the Netherlands.
My son is great at Netherlands. I'm jealous because it's like fluidity with him, and also English.
Yeah, nice. It's really inspirational to see what kind of family man you are, and what your relationship to the plant has been all these years. And I think that a lot of people can learn a lot from people like you, and should dive into the story about cannabis in the last century, actually, and the large impact that people as Soma have had on that industry and on the development of the cannabis industry in the Netherlands. And I think that I want to ask you one last thing. If you could give one last advice to people in the wanting to get into the cannabis industry, what would you say?
Well, not everybody plays chess. I love to play chess, but chess is a game of strategy. It's kind of a game of competition, but it can also be a friendly competition where, yeah, it's on a game board. You're not killing the king or the queen or it's just pretend. But if you do it like a chess game and you move each piece with thought and carefulness, including moving it with your heart, even if you have to feel a little sympathy for the other side of the board, do it with your heart. Do it like a chess game. Do it with some great strategy. And do it with less and less greed. Less greed. Less greed. More blessings. More inspiration. More heart.
That's beautiful. I want to thank you so much for your time today, for your beautiful lessons, for all the work you've done in the cannabis industry, paving the way for people like us, for people like a lot of the viewers. And I can't wait for our next talk in Berlin.
I love connecting with you today. I love connecting with you, bro. I'm watching him back there.
Shout out, Pecha.
And I love,
it's a beautiful thing.
Your protege over here.
Yep. We try to be in a place for people that, you know, a lot of cannabis consumers are outcasts in society, and can't really find a place to do an internship or whatever because they don't feel the passion, because they like other things and they might like cannabis. And a lot of these people are starting to find their way to the TheHighCloud, and we love to welcome young guys and girls who want to get into the cannabis industry or are doing something media related, whatever, that we can offer something on, and welcoming them on an internship on the TheHighCloud.
It's going to amplify. It's going to happen more and more.
And
not going to stop.
I want to thank you so much, Soma. And we see each other soon in Berlin. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank the sponsors. As always, Mascota, making sure that we have papers and filters and everything to roll with. Soma Seeds, paving the way for a lot of breeders and growers in the world. And of course, Pot by Noids, making sure that we can also make safe oil and edibles at home. And again, thank you all for watching. I'm Uncle Kūsh, super high, Soma. It's been a blessing, and much love to all of you. Oh yeah, comment and subscribe. Thanks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, thank you.
Love that. Love that.
I never know what I'm gonna say. Like I just let it.
We channel. Nice.
Wow, it's nice doing this with you.